This is a message for the young and the young at heart from St. Mark Evangelical Lutheran Church. I'm coming today to talk to you a little bit about the story of Samuel. It was our first lesson, it is our first lesson for this Sunday, and it talks about the calling of Samuel. I bet you probably read this once or twice at home or in Sunday school, but if you haven't read it, I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version, and you can read it on your own. It's from Samuel chapter 3. But Samuel is working with Eli, the priest at the temple, and is learning from him. And while he's there, one night he goes to sleep, and he's been caring for Eli and helping Eli out in many ways. And he goes into his bed, and he hears a voice. And it says, Samuel, Samuel. And he says, here I am. And he thinks that it's Eli, so he goes over to Eli's room to check on him and say, is there anything I can do for you? He says, I didn't call you. And this happens 3 times. And finally, Eli realizes that it is God calling Samuel. And I want to remind you today that God calls each one of you. Now, oftentimes, when we hear about God calling, we think about God calling people to be pastors or to be prophets. And we think, oh, God only calls so many people. God doesn't call all of us. But in fact, God calls each and every one of us. God called you to be a child of God the day you were baptized. And God keeps calling you to do different things. Now, right now, your primary thing that you're supposed to do is be a student. And that's really important. But that doesn't mean that you're not a child of God as you're a student. In fact, I hope that you live out your faith every day that you're in the classroom. I hope that you are honest. I hope that you are respectful to your teachers. I hope that you are helpful to other classmates and supportive. I hope that you are forgiving. I hope that each and every day people see you as a child of God because of your kindness and the grace that you share with them. But I also know that someday you're going to figure out what gifts it is that God's given you, and you're going to be called to do something that you get paid for, some type of a career, or it may be something that you don't actually get paid for, but something that you're really passionate about that you get to do with your life. And even then, I want you to remember that first and foremost, you're called to be a child of God, and that no matter what your job is, you can fulfill it by being a child of God. And you can live out your calling within whatever it is that you do for a living. If you're a teacher, you can see the image of God in every student, even the ones that are a lot more difficult. And you can practice forgiveness and hope and sharing hope with your students. If you are called to be a general contractor or a builder, you can do your work faithfully. You can make sure that things are safe. The buildings that you're working on are safe for whoever occupies them. If you have the ability, depending on what role you take, you can be the one to make the building a lot safer environmentally. You can be the one to make it a better building and a better stewardship of God's creation. And if you're called to be a car salesman, you can be sure that you can live out your calling as a child of God by being honest with those who come, by not putting your profits first, but by helping people find a vehicle that's going to be best for them. It doesn't matter what God calls you to do or what job you have in any part of your life. There is always going to be an opportunity for you to be and to live out your calling as a child of God. And my prayer is that you find a job that you are passionate about, something that you are good at, and something that you love to do. But even more importantly, that you will find in your calling an opportunity to be a child of God. If you're a doctor or a nurse, I hope that you pray for every patient and that you show them kindness and grace. If you are just a ditch digger, I hope you dig ditches to the glory of God, and that everybody you interact with and you dig for, you share the hope of Christ that's within you. I know that you're going to do something important with your life, but the most important thing you're going to ever do with your life is to be a child of God and share that with a world that needs it. Thanks for being God's children.